Welcome to episode 22, Harry Triguboff, From Wandering Jew to the Richest Man in Australia. This is an outline of episode 22. His parents were wandering Jews from Russia. Somehow the Triguboff ended in Dalian, China, where he was born. He studied high school in Tianjin, China.
Harry grew up in China with his Russian parents. His father was in textiles.
Was the Japanese invasion in the 1930s, there was civil war, and finally the communist takeover. It wasn't exactly a peaceful time then, was it? Were you aware of those things going on?
Sure. I didn't feel much about the early part. I felt it at Pearl Harbor, right? So that's when the Japanese occupied Tianjin, where I was a child growing up. But the Japanese were good to us, the Chinese were good to us. See, Russia was not at war. Russia was neutral. So really the war years for us, Russians, in China, were very good years.
He arrived in Sydney, Australia in 1948. He was 15. He would finish high school in Sydney. In the meantime, his parents went to Israel.
To work in a textile factory, he sent me to Leeds. That's where I learned about wool. And I studied there for 3 years, went with my father. I worked with my father and my brother. I didn't get on with my brother didn't get on with my father, the father didn't get on with me. A happy family. We loved each other, but we couldn't work. Right? So then the father said, I sent you when you were a kid to Australia, I'm sending you back. I was in Australia, and I was a textile engineer. And I couldn't see any future for a textile engineer. And that was right. I don't think anybody made much out of it. So I was looking this, that, I was trying to do all kinds of things.
In 1963, he started small. He began construction of two-story apartment buildings.
And I started with the first units in 1963. There were very few units built then, so that's when I started.
As you look out from this incredible location, do you feel proud?
I feel very proud. I am proud that when we started, it was all in a very small way. 2 stories was what we built. 4 stories required a lift, so we didn't do those. 3 stories people preferred with a lift, so we didn't do those either. So we started a very, very modest way.
He was a revolutionary builder then. He was going against mainstream Australia.
50 years ago, not today. And I had lots of fights, because they were telling me how Australians had to have a quarter-acre block, and I told them that's not true. Some do, some don't.
In 1963, at the age of 30, he founded Meritant. Meritant just keeps growing and growing. First, he had to solve the problem of the council, which he considers the greatest risk.
I guessed correctly, there was a big demand, and the demand has only grown with supply.
Do you remember the first financial risk you ever took?
I think that I never take risks. In my mind, there is no risk. The great risk in Sydney is the town planning department. That's the risk. You don't know what they'll do or the councils will do. As far as the building part, there is no risk.
Luck number 1, rent control was just lifted.
The rents. So I was lucky that just before I came into it, they abolished the rent control. A matter of a year or 2 before, but things take time to start.
Innovation number 1 was the high-rise apartment. Innovation number 2 was the service apartment. The service apartment was an adaptation because the council would not approve him to build on the land he purchased.
And the councils would never approve anything. Now here comes the real problem, is the councils and their approvals. I could buy as much land as I like, but I couldn't get enough approvals. I didn't have enough approvals, I had money left over, so I said, well, what's the point then of just keep lending money out, so we might as well keep the apartments. So then when we started to keep apartments, I said, well, it's even better to have serviced apartments. So the income is even better.
1,000 units has netted him $4.5 billion so far. At 80, Harry is defying retirement, and he's not slowing down.
No way, because the opportunities are bigger, the country is bigger, more money. I need money to make money to grow, and to buy blocks of land at 100 million a pop, you have to have money.
Yes, that's right. He paid $100 million outright for this block next to Sydney Airport in Mascot.
Luck number 2, the Chinese invasion of Australia from 2013 to 2015. Within 3 years, property value went up 50%, making Harry Triguboff the richest man in Australia.
Even though I have Chinese buyers for the last 20 years, and they become more and more important every year, I would still like the average Australian person to be able to buy a home here. That would give me more stability than just depending on others.
What have I learned today? Harry Triguboff is unique. He's a one-product man. He only builds high-rise apartments in a country with plenty of flat land. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave your comments below. Next video I will do is 10 lessons of Harry Triguboff. Wishing everyone peace and prosperity.